Howdy folks, I'm Brian,
I'm Amber.
and here's some Reddit. Our first story is titled, Am I the Jerk? I Insulted My Wife in Front of My Family. I and my wife have been married for 8 years. She told me that she wants to be a stay-at-home mom when we got married because she didn't like her job that much. I was okay with it since I earn enough for both of us. My mom had to drop out of school because she lost her parents at a young age and she had to do manual labor to send her siblings to school. The Indian government then did not have any kind of concession for orphaned kids. She had the choice of either go to school herself or send her siblings to school. Because of this, she dropped out in 8th grade at 14 years. Both of her siblings got employed in really good companies, and they took care of her since until she got married. My dad passed away 2 years after the marriage, and she had to take care of me on her own. Her siblings did help out, but she had to work 2 jobs along with that to support us both. Edit herself and me, I was an only child. My father died when she was pregnant with me. Today we had a family get together. My mom, her siblings, each of their kids, and daughter/son-in-laws, grandkids, etc. After having dinner, my wife said that we needed to leave early because our kids have to go to basketball, swimming, and also private tutoring lessons tomorrow. My kids were begging her to let them stay for a little bit longer. My mom asked my wife if they can miss 1 day of practice to spend some time with family since the kids also must have missed their cousins after not having met them for nearly a year. My wife retaliated, saying that an illiterate woman wouldn't know the importance of education and extracurricular activities. My mom was clearly hurt and apologized for overstepping. I told my wife that literacy clearly hasn't taught her, my wife, basic manners. My wife got at me for insulting her in front of everyone and went back home with the kids. She's not picking up my calls, replying to my texts. Am I the jerk? Alright folks, what do you think? Jerk? Not the jerk?
Not the jerk it was called for.
Amber says not the jerk it was called for. I think the trouble is this might be one of the rare few occasions where some kind of retaliation like that is warranted. I think that this one's difficult because if OP hadn't nipped this in the bud, so to speak, in the moment, then their mother would have felt bad. But on the other hand, he did insult his wife, but she was acting without manners too, so I don't know if it was really all that untruthful, but I don't know. I'd be interested in hearing what you folks think. I'm gonna have to say that OP isn't the jerk in this situation. I think that his wife really overstepped and didn't appreciate the sacrifices that OP's mother took in order to raise OP and also her siblings. And it sounds like OP's mother is, really hardworking. It sounds like they, care a lot for people and are willing to make sacrifices. And it sounds like basically, even though OP's mom could have chose to go to school, they didn't in order to take care of their siblings. And now OP's wife is rubbing that in her face, which I think is rude. I really do. So, yeah, I have a really hard time saying that OP's to blame here, especially since, he's defending his very noble mother. So, I don't know. I'd be interested, again, what you folks have to say. Anyhow, take care and good luck. Not the jerk, your wife sounds awful and should show your mom all the respect in the world. As many people say on the site, it's a massive red flag. Your wife clearly looks down on others and doesn't have any respect for you or your family. The question isn't whether she's the jerk for this comment. It's how big of a jerk she is. If she's aware of why your mom had to drop out of school since she knew enough to make a comment on it, then she's much worse than if she doesn't know. Either way, her comment was cruel and uncalled for. And on the point of her not having manners, this is an excellent point and a fair response. I don't agree with publicly shaming your, in general, spouse, but she had the audacity to insult your mother's education when your mother stepped up to be a parent to her siblings. Calling that behavior out in front of your mother was important because your wife knows that you won't sit idly by while she badmouths your mom, not the jerk. The thing is that your wife made this comment in front of everyone. She thought it was okay to humiliate your mom in front of people that she'd drop out of school to support, their spouses and kids, entirely unprovoked. Since your wife is giving you the silent treatment, you may want to give her the time to cool off, then ask her why she thought that was an appropriate thing to say. Our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Refusing to Give a Mother and Her Baby Candy? This Halloween, I thought I would buy candy for the holiday. I don't ever have candy, but this year I decided to do it. I gave candy to the kids and even the teens watching them if they were in costume. There was this one lady and her infant that I refused because it was obvious that the candy would be for the mom. The baby obviously can't understand anything, nor can he handle solids. I don't want to give free candy to a grown woman. That might make me the jerk with just that. I don't know my neighbors, but apparently she's on my street and is very upset. I told some friends and they think I'm being a jerk. I'm told that it's normal for parents to bring along babies, and considering that I have a lot of candy left over, it shouldn't be a big deal. If this is true, then my morals don't match with this holiday. I thought the point was giving kids free candy and seeing cute costumes. Update. Alright, Reddit thinks that this was a jerk move. This was my first Halloween giving candy, so I had expectations of what I wanted Halloween to be. I participated in Halloween for selfish reasons, so I'm not surprised that I didn't plan for this. It was a gut reaction to what I believed was an odd situation. The baby was max 2 months old, and in a normal Disney onesie, so not really a costume. I'm not meant to understand everything, so I'll consider this a cultural thing. The night went great other than that situation. Days have passed, and I've heard nothing from the other neighbors or the mother, so that's how it ends. Can't wait for next year. Alright folks, what do you think? Jerk, not the jerk?
Much the jerk. Very much the jerk.
Amber says much the jerk, very much the jerk. You know, I think that policing who gets candy and who doesn't get the candy, well, I guess it's technically your prerogative as a person who gives out Halloween candy. I kind of look at that as kind of, I don't know, in poor taste. Like, if teens come up to my house and want candy, I'd give them candy. If an adult came up to our house and wanted candy, I'd give them candy. I don't really care, you know, there's candy to give.
Halloween is for everyone.
Halloween is for everyone, and I think that we don't really know. This mom, she could have just been out trying to have a good Halloween. You know, this is, you know, a special time. Maybe she wanted some pictures with her kid, and maybe she wanted to build a memorable time with her child. Maybe she just enjoys trick-or-treating and showing off her child to the neighborhood. I think that it's one of those things where we don't know what her motivations were, and I don't know that they matter, honestly. I think that if she really wanted to go door to door with her child and just trick or treat and say hi to her neighbors, then I don't know what's wrong with that. I think that that's could be a fun thing to do. So no, I think that OP in this situation probably, I personally think it's in poor taste to police giving out candy to people, but I know that other people have different opinions on this, and so I'm not really worried one way or another on that, but I would be interested in hearing what folks have to say about it. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Losing My Temper After the HOA Prevented My Disabled Veteran Neighborin, I made a new word, disabled veteran neighbor from making necessary adjustments to his house? My next door neighbor was a war veteran. He was medically discharged from the military. He has some sort of head trauma and has a missing leg. He is wheelchair bound and going through physical therapy to learn to walk again. Obviously, he needs assistance and needs to make modifications to the house, the main one being a ramp as the house is 5 steps up. He moved in with his sister who owns the house. I'm a housing contractor, and the next door neighbor asked me to build it for like $10,000 or something. I told her I would just do it if she paid for materials, and then I would do it for free. I get a permit to building, took ridiculous amounts of time to get it. I also tell the HOA about the ramp. They didn't get back to me, despite me calling, emailing, sending letters, and getting to them in person. It's about 3 weeks, no response. I say, whatever, I'm gonna build a ramp. I don't care about their specifications. During this entire time, whenever he had to enter or leave the house, 2 people would have to carry his wheelchair up or down. It's a pain in the butt. Ridiculous. I started building the ramp and I'm about halfway done. I go home to finish it the next day, and the next day the HOA sends a nasty letter to the house informing them that the ramp doesn't meet the HOA specifications. Seeing something about the aesthetics and the right wood color. We ignore the letter. The neighbor complains and threatens to bring a lawsuit about it. Are you kidding me? There is an HOA meeting to discuss other stuff, but I've just about lost my patience over all of this. I finish building the ramp and the HOA is demanding that we deconstruct it. I go to the meeting and explain how the HOA never got back to me and it's their fault that they don't like the aesthetic. They said that the rules are the rules and we must follow them. I lost my temper at this point in time and started yelling, "Shut your mouth! The man sacrificed his legs overseas for us. You are all disgusting pieces of garbage for making his lives harder. You should all be ashamed of yourselves." Expletives edited out for YouTube standards. The HOA president tells me to calm down, and I told her to shut her mouth, and that I will not be making any of their BS adjustments, and I will go to court over this. They're violating the Americans with Disabilities Act, and we'll have a field day with them in court. They were quiet after that, but my goodness, I can't believe there's people like this. All right, folks, well, what do you think? Jerk? Not the jerk?
Not the jerk.
I think insults aside, the insults are probably the part that I have the hardest part with. I think that this could have been handled with a little bit more decorum, so to speak, but I can also understand why the contractor would be upset by this. Like, they spent 3 weeks trying to get a hold of these people, trying to get them to make a decision on what they needed to do, whether or not it would be into the specifications, and they never got back to them. And the moment, OP starts to build this, then they get back to them. Very, very poor timing on the HOA's part. I think that this is absolutely absurd. I think that the HOA, deserves to be shamed about this and deserves to be taken to court over this if they do try to deconstruct it. And again, the only part I really have a problem with here is the actual, insults. I think that was, a little bit over the line, but I can also understand the frustration and, that this person was impassioned at the moment. So, yeah, I would be curious about what you folks have to say about this. So let me know. Anyhow, take care and good luck. Not the jerk. In fact, I would consult an attorney about this. There are certain things that supersedes the HOA's authority, even though they frequently think that they are supreme rulers. Correct, the HOA cannot supersede state or federal laws, and you could maybe argue that the neighbor had a right to timely due process. I don't know, I could be wrong. Alright, our next letter is titled, "Am I a jerk for refusing to spend as much money on my niece's wedding as I did on my wife's?" No. I don't know that we need more information than that in particular, but no. My wife wanted a really nice wedding, and I gave it to her. Fast forward a few years and my brother wants us to pay for my niece's wedding. I figured no problem, and handed the situation to my wife. My wife basically said she told my niece that we weren't going to give her more than $50,000. That's a really nice wedding.
Yeah.
Well, my brother texted me and said he was disappointed that I would, quote, spend $59,000 more on someone who you're not even related to than your own niece. Yes, because apparently marrying someone you're related to is in vogue now, according to your brother. I suggested that we make the limit $100,000, but my wife said no. So I don't know what he expects me to do. She already said it's partly my fault for telling him how much hers costed. He's now telling me that because we don't have kids and she doesn't work, that she shouldn't have this much say. And I'm just hiding behind her to make her look like the bad guy. We're paying for their wedding because they don't have a lot of money to spend, and it's important to my niece. I don't mind helping them, but we've helped them a lot before. All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk? Not the jerk?
Not
Do
the
we
jerk.
do we even need to ask? What world does the brother live in here that he thinks that he can just demand like $100,000 from his brother, and his brother being like, well, I mean, you spent $109,000 on your wife's wedding, so you should spend at least that much on your niece's. Why not make it $1 million? Why not make it $2 million while we're at it?
I also like how the brother doesn't acknowledge that it's OP's wedding as well.
Yeah, well, the brother, exactly. The brother's like, oh, this is your wife's wedding. I mean, it was OP's. Okay. Like, there's one person that OP was related to in that wedding, and it was themselves. If you can phrase it like that. I don't know if you can, but I will, because I refuse to have the brother have a point here. Not that he had a point anyways. I think this is just absurd. No, OP can spend their money however they want. This is a generous amount of money, and I don't think that they're the jerk for not spending a huge amount of money, or not spending even more money on their niece's wedding. I don't know. Anyhow, take care and good luck. Not the jerk. You're being more than generous by offering your own niece any money to pay for her wedding. That doesn't exactly fall under your purview. As for spending more on your wife's wedding than your niece's, you didn't. Unless I'm missing something, you spent more on your wedding than your niece's. Yeah. Huh? Isn't your wife's wedding also your wedding? How are you not someone you are related to? This person thinks I'm right too. And OP replies, I think it means it was more for her since I don't really care what we did and she planned the whole thing. I just showed up. But yeah, it was technically mine too. Technically, OP, just own it. Just own the whole thing. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider giving me a like. And if you didn't, consider giving me a dislike. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Oh! No, today is Friday. I won't see you tomorrow. I'll see you on Monday.
Bye.
Have a great weekend.